Hey everyone! In this video today, I want to show you guys how to make this really cool sort of gradient 3D diamond friendship bracelet tutorial. This is very quick and easy to work up, so let's not waste any time. So for this bracelet, you are going to need 5 different colors, and then you will need whatever color you want to use as your sort of crisscrossing color the whole way through the pattern. I don't have an extra scheme to show you guys, but I am going to be using black for this bracelet here, which is why these are all a mess because I just started this bracelet. For all of your strings, you want to measure out 2 strings from each of your 6 different colors that you're going to have in order to make an approximately 6-inch bracelet. I only need to measure around 32 to 34 inches. And for the black strand, or whatever you have here, make sure you measure that at least 1.5 to 2 times longer than whatever you are measuring all your other strands, because the black strands will get eaten up so fast in this pattern. And you definitely want to measure a little extra just for those so that you have enough string to finish the bracelet. If you want to make a loop at the top like I have here, you'll want to measure 1 strand from each of the 6 colors, but you'll want to double the measurement. So if I do 32 to 34 inches typically, then I'll be doing about 64 to 68 and then folding them in half. Now this bracelet is so perfect for either a teardrop loop or a triangle end, depending on where you want to start the pattern. But for the tutorial today, obviously, I am going to be working off a triangle end because I am just starting from the very top of the pattern. And if you want to learn how to make this really awesome loop, I have a tutorial in the top right corner right now that you can follow to learn how to make this. But as I always say, these types of starts are completely optional. You can just tie your strings in a simple knot and just work right on the bracelet, and you'll still have a nice bracelet. Whether or not you have or don't have any loops or threadings or whatever. So ideally, your color palette will be in a sort of monochromatic gradient. That is how this pattern absolutely shines the most. I did do a little bit of playing around, and this pattern does work pretty well if you want to do just a regular rainbow. But for the sake of this tutorial, I am working in a green gradient. The way you want to order your strands from the center to the outside is your sort of border color in the middle, followed by your lightest strand, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going from the middle, border, lightest, all the way to darkest. And really, to work up this whole pattern, you only need to knot 3 different diamonds as well as the outside pieces, and it is very easily repeatable. So I already have this step completed, and if you are following the tutorial along for the second or however many times, this will also be the case for you. But with starting off the pattern for the very first time, you'll want to take your middle 2 strands, your border color, and you'll want to tie a forward knot with them. And then with these 2 middle strands, you want to make knots to bring them over to the outermost left and right side. So on the left side first, you'll take that left strand of the middle 2, and you'll do backward knots across all of the 5 strands to the left of it. And then we're going to come back to the right strand of the 2 in the middle here. And then we're going to do forward knots across all 5 of the strands to the right of it. And now go ahead and take these outermost left and right strands and put them off to the side. Because with this first diamond, we are going to be doing something similar to an inverse chevron, but instead of going all the way to the outermost left and right side every time, we're kind of decreasing our arrows until we get to the last 2 strings. So we are picking up the middle 2 strands and we're going to make a forward knot with them. And then with the left strand of the 2, you're now going to make backward knots across the 4 strands to the left of it. And then put that off to the side, come back to the right strand of the middle here, and do forward knots across the next 4 strands to the right of it. And then put that off to the side, and we'll come back to the middle again. And the amount of knots that we're doing on both sides is going to be descending. So with this row, we're going to do 3 knots on both sides, then the next row 2, next one 1, and then our final step will just have the 2 middle strands that we tie together. And remember, before you do that, take your middle 2 strands and tie a forward knot with them. And then we'll do the rest of our knots. So now we have the next group. And then we'll make 2 knots on both sides. Next group of strands. Only 1 knot on either side. And now we only have 2 strands left, and we are just going to make a forward knot. So now, to close off this first diamond, we're going to come back to our outermost left and right strands, and we are going to bring them back into the middle. So on the left side, take your outermost left strand and do forward knots across all 5 of the strands to the right of it. Then on the right side, take your outermost right strand and do 5 backward knots across the strands to the left of it. And then you'll take these middle 2 strands and close off that little gap by tying a forward knot with them. And now we got to do these sort of edge pieces. So on the left side, go ahead and just focus on all of your 5 colors here. So that middle strand, you can move it off to the side. Take your outermost left strand and make forward knots across the next 3 strands to the right of it. Then on this 4th one here, you will do a forward backward knot. And then come back to your outer left strand again. And this time you'll do a forward knot onto the string to the right of it. Then on the next strand over, you'll do a forward backward knot. And then you'll do a backward knot onto the strand to the left of it so that we can bring it back over to the outermost left side. And then moving back over to your 4th strand from the left, you want to do backward knots onto the next 3 strands to the left of it. And then just to go ahead and get it out of the way, we are going to come back to our middle 2 strands here, which will be our bordering color. We're going to take the left strand of the 2 and we're going to do backward knots across all of the 5 strands to the left of it to bring it back over to the outermost left side. Now we can take this left group of strands and put it off to the side for now and just focus on the right side. And so on the right side, we are going to repeat everything that we just did, but we are going to reverse all of the knots. And now for the next diamond. Within that diamond, we are doing just a very regular diamond. How many times can you say diamond? So we're gonna take the middle 2 strands and we're gonna make a forward knot with them. Now with the left strand of the 2, we are going to make backward knots across the next 3 strands to the left of it, and then on this 4th one here we'll do a backward forward knot. Then with the other strand of the middle 2, we're gonna do forward knots onto the next 3 strands to the right of it. And then on this 4th one here, we'll do a forward backward knot. We're gonna come back to our middle 2 strands again and make a forward knot with them. And then with the left strand of the 2, you're gonna make a backward knot onto the strand to the left of it. And then on the next one over, it'll be a backward forward knot. Then we'll come back to the other strand of the two and make a forward knot onto the strand to the right of it. And then on the next one over, do a forward backward knot. And then once again, come back to your middle two strands and just tie a forward knot with them. And now we are going to bring these rows back to the middle. So from the middle here, you'll go to the next strands over and you'll do your knots to bring them to the middle and then tie them together. Move over to the next group of strands and bring those to the middle as well. So on the left side, you'll do 3 forward knots. And then on the right side, you will do 3 backward knots. And join these middle two strands with a forward knot. And then once again, you are going to bring your outermost left and right strands to the middle. So on the left side, do your forward knots across your next 5 strands to bring it to the middle. And then on the right side, take your outermost right strand and do your 5 backward knots. And again, take your middle 2 strands and kind of close up this gap with a forward knot. So we're going to be working on our sort of edge pieces again, and we are going to do exactly what we did previously right here. So I'm going to speed through that pretty quickly just because it is exactly what we did just up above. So now for our third and final diamond of the pattern before it repeats, we are going to kind of follow the same pattern that we did with this first diamond, where we are starting out from the middle and working outwards, but instead of doing kind of like inverse chevrons, we're going to do little chevrons with all of our colors. So we are going to take our middle 2 strands and tie a forward knot with them. And then we're going to pick up the next group of strands from the middle here, and we're going to do our knots on both sides to bring it to the middle. So with this group, we're going to do 1 knot. And then on the right side, do another knot. And then connect them with a forward knot in the middle. And then once we have that, we're going to pick up the third group from the outside, and we will do 2 knots on each side and then join them in the middle. And then with the fourth group, we'll be doing 3 knots on both sides to bring them to the middle. And then with this final group, we will be doing 4 knots on either side and then connecting them in the middle. And again, bring your outermost left and right strands to the middle, just like a regular chevron. So on the left side, we'll do our 5 forward knots. Then on the right side, you'll do 5 backward knots. And then connect your middle 2 strands with a forward knot. And now, last but not least, we are going to be doing these sort of edge pieces again, but we are going to do them a little bit differently. So on the left side, you're gonna take your outermost left strand and keep doing forward knots on all of the rest of the strands, from 4 knots to just 1, until we run out of all of our strings. So first step with the outermost left strand, you're going to do forward knots across the next 4 strands to the right of it. And then put that off to the side, and with your next outermost left strand, you'll be doing 3 forward knots. Put that off to the side. Next outermost left strand, you'll just do 2 forward knots. And then finally, with this outermost left strand, you will just do a forward knot onto the strand to the right of it. And then we're going to move over to the left side, and we are going to repeat everything we just did, but we are going to mirror it. So instead of forward knots, we are going to take our outermost right strands and do backward knots the whole way through. So we have 4 backward knots first. Next strand will be 3 backward knots. Then next strand will be 2 backward knots. And then finally, next strand will just be 1 backward knot. And that is finally the whole pattern completed. But as you can see, with this section, it makes up quite a bit of the pattern. So it is just so fast to work up a whole bracelet, like in a matter of a few hours if you're really focused working on it. So as you can see, our color order has flipped. And that is the whole point of the 3D effect of this pattern. So the steps are going to be the same the whole way through, but just keep in mind now when you are working on the pattern again, instead of going from lightest to darkest like we have on this first diamond, you will be going darkest to lightest. So everything in this color order is going to be completely reversed. But the steps are all the same and honestly pretty simple, at least I hope. And if you need to follow the tutorial along from the beginning to watch it over again, you can follow everything exactly the same and just keep following along and along until your full bracelet is completed. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video today. I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below what you thought. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to check out my most recent video, you can click on this side here, but YouTube thinks you might like this one.